Sports fans are without a doubt a very passionate bunch. What they see on the playing field leads to fans developing strong thoughts towards these athletes, whether it's positive or negative. Fans start to have very strong beliefs about these athletes, and it's usually based off of how they feel towards them. So with that, they start to say certain things, and to be honest, they be reaching with a lot of the shit they end up saying because their personal feelings towards them get in the way. So you will hear fans say something that's rigged, the sanctioning body is showing favoritism. This guy is the golden boy, and goddamn, we heard that one a lot in NASCAR. The drivers that have this label attached to them are Earnhardt Jr. and Chase Elliott. They've had a stranglehold on the most popular driver award over the past couple of decades, and a big reason why is because they both have fathers who left a big mark in the sport. Both of them inherited their father's fan base, and they end up with a huge amount of fame and expectations put on them. Earnhardt Jr. wasn't the dominator that his dad was, but he still ended up having a solid career. Chase Elliott's story is still being written. When you're the most popular driver, people think it comes with a lot of perks, and one of those is favoritism. Yes, I'm sure NASCAR wants to see their most popular drivers succeed as much as possible because obviously that helps the sport, but I don't believe NASCAR has shown favoritism towards their popular drivers, and I'm more so talking about Dale Jr. and Chase Elliott. I think it's bullshit, it's a myth, and I'm here to debunk that narrative. If anything, it's been quite a few times where NASCAR has gone against the quote-unquote golden boys of NASCAR or had the opportunity to show favoritism, but they didn't. Let's start off with the golden boy of the 2000s and early 2010s, Earnhardt Jr. People started to put that label on him in the summer of 2001 when he went out and won the Pepsi 400. It was the first time the Cup Series was back in Daytona since the death of Earnhardt Sr. Jr. smoked the field that night. The dude was pretty much untouchable, leading 116 of the 160 laps. It's up there as one of the most dominant restricted plate performances for sure. You couldn't have written a better story. Earnhardt Jr. wins after coming back to the track that took his father's life. With that, some people started to think that the race was fixed. You had some folks saying that NASCAR gave the 8 team a special restricted plate that made Jr. car much faster than the field. Not only you had fans saying that, but also one of Jr.'s competitors, that person being Jimmy Spencer. I definitely don't agree with Jimmy Spencer and the race fans that claim that this race was fixed. DEI has something figured out at the superspeedways prior to this race, and they proceeded to show that over the next few years with similar performances. Michael Waltrip pretty much did the same thing in the 2002 Pepsi 400, leading 99 of the 160 laps. That same year in the Spring Talladega race, Jr. led 133 of the 188 laps. Throughout that time period, a Earnhardt Incorporated car would typically lead the most laps at a superspeedway. It's not like Jr. went to the Daytona night race in 2001, dominated, and then never showed that type of dominance ever again at superspeedways when there's other examples of him doing just that. We're going to stick with superspeedway racing here, the 2003 Earnhardt 499 where Jr. went below the yellow line, NASCAR didn't penalize him, and he went on to win. Let me be the first to say that Jr. should have been penalized for this. I ain't about to argue that. What I will argue is that Jr. didn't get away with it because he's Mr. Popular. Let me ask y'all something. Has NASCAR ever been consistent with the yellow line rule? No, I've lost count of how many times they got in the call wrong, whether it's someone getting forced below the line and them still penalizing that person that got forced below it, or someone clearly going below the line and NASCAR not calling a penalty. They got it wrong with Dale Jr., but it wasn't because he's the popular guy. And I say that because NASCAR proved the very next year that they don't have a problem with taking away a chance from Earnhardt Jr. to win a race. The 2004 Earnhardt 499 had a caution with 5 laps to go, and it was pretty close between Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon in terms of who was ahead. NASCAR deemed Jeff Gordon was ahead when the caution happened. The first thing I want to bring up, NASCAR could have said, hey, put the popular guy in first, but they didn't. Then there's also this. You will assume that they will want to hurry up and get this race back going ASAP to give Dale Jr. the opportunity to try to get the win, but instead they ran under caution and that's how the race ended. They could have got the race back going. It was a single car spin, it wasn't any debris or fluid on the track, but instead they rolled around under caution during the last 5 laps of the race, and Mr. Popular never got his opportunity to strike. There was no green-white checkers during this time, so once they took the white flag, the race was officially over. Why would they ride around under caution when the track was clean? I don't know, but it ended up screwing the quote-unquote golden boy of NASCAR. Later that year, Junior got in trouble by NASCAR for cursing at victory lane after he won the EA Sports 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was docked 25 driver points after that, and this couldn't have come at a worse time because this happened during the middle of the chase. You didn't want to give up any points, especially with the top 10 being so tight. A lot of people claim that this cost Junior the title when really it didn't. It was more so Atlanta and Martinsville that did him in. But imagine if that was the lone reason of how he lost the 2004 championship. 25 driver points taken away because cursing on TV. That could have been a reality. And docking Junior points is the last thing you would think NASCAR would want to do to their most popular driver, but they did it. And what makes it frustrating is that so many other drivers have cursed on live television before and after Junior did it in 2004, but I don't remember any penalties being handed out. Who knew that the most popular driver will be the only person to suffer this type of penalty? I can keep going with this and I will. The 2015 Fall Talladega race ended kinda similar to the 2004 Aaron's 499. Caution happened and you had Joey Logano and Dale Jr. side by side. They could have deemed Junior as the leader, but they didn't. The moment the caution flew, Joey was barely out in front, and NASCAR didn't pull any BS like waiting for Junior to get the lead and then throw the caution. And this was a bigger deal than the 2004 Talladega finish because had Junior won this race, he would have advanced into the round of 8. And then of course he went on to win Phoenix and that would have locked him into the final 4. Guess what? NASCAR's most popular driver has a shot at the championship, but that never became a reality. NASCAR could have made it happen, and it goes back to the call they made at Talladega. Not saying they got the call wrong, but they could have been on some bullshit and tried their hardest to make sure Junior won. The opportunity was there, but they didn't take it. The whole Golden Boy facade goes beyond the people in the NASCAR tower, but also within the team. I heard so many times over the years that X driver is getting the best stuff, and I personally don't believe that. If that was true, don't you think the most popular driver in the sport would be getting the best stuff within the organization? Think about it. If that was an actual thing and I had the most popular driver in the sport on my team, I would definitely give him the best stuff because guess what? That's going to make me a ton of money if they're going out there winning races and championships. I look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. time over at HMS and I remember a quote from Rick Hendrick after just signing Dale Jr. and he said, and I quote, "I won't let him fail." And I wouldn't say Junior failed, but he definitely underachieved at Hendrick Motorsports. Let's be honest, when Junior was on the market, many teams saw dollar signs because Junior is worth so much. Hendrick Motorsports got Dale Jr. and you can't tell me that he was getting the good stuff during his entire time over there if that is an actual thing. Junior was never the #1 guy over at Hendrick. #1 in merchandise sales? Yeah. Even during his good years at Hendrick, you can't tell me that he was the #1 guy on the team. I guarantee Rick Hendrick wanted Junior to be a dominant force on the track because all that means is more money in Rick's pocket. If Junior is winning a lot of races and championships, that means he's moving even more merchandise and bringing in even more sponsors to the team. If you believe that certain drivers get the good stuff within the team, then why wasn't Junior given the good stuff for those reasons? I know I can go into more moments of where it seemed like Dale Jr. was receiving Golden Boy treatment, or it could have gone that route, but I'll be sitting here all day talking about this. The moments I brought up were the more, I guess you could say, notable instances where people have said it was straight favoritism, which I think is bullshit, and the opportunities where they could have showed favoritism towards Junior, but they didn't. Now we move on to Chase Elliott, who is the current Golden Boy of NASCAR in a lot of fans' eyes, and just like with Junior, there's some moments where people are just reaching. Clear favoritism towards Chase Elliott in their eyes. There's a moment where NASCAR could have swept under the rug with something that Chase did wrong, and he's also been screwed by NASCAR before, but hey, apparently he's the Golden Boy, right? So let's dive into these. The first one, the 2021 Daytona Road Course where Chase Elliott dominated and it's looking like he's on his way to victory, but caution comes out for rain? It wasn't raining, but NASCAR threw the caution out anyway and then chaos ensues. Chase Elliott gets knocked off the track but makes an incredible save, and then some laps later he gets dumped and that was pretty much his race. Golden Boy loses a race because of a golden setting in Daytona. It was pretty much bullshit. If NASCAR was looking out for Chase Elliott, they would have left that race green. The 2021 Charlotte Roval where Elliott's back bumper is hanging off and everyone is screaming that Elliott should have been black flagged for that. But he wasn't, and it's a lot of fans that wasn't aware that the back bumper isn't a mandatory piece for road courses and apparently that's been a thing since 2019. I wish I could have found a tweet for this video, but I remember being on Twitter while watching this race live, and I remember Bob Proctor was putting out a tweet about the rear bumper cover rule for road courses. I don't make the rules, I'm just explaining what they are. And yeah, NASCAR doesn't do a good job of following their own rules. I just talked about that with the yellow line rule. But in this case, they did. What they're also bad with is not having a place where fans can view the rule book for every little thing. That would definitely help. I think if fans was aware of that rule, then you wouldn't have had many people complaining about that whole deal. Chase was just having to be one of the first since this rule was in place to experience that. And when he didn't get penalized for it, people just assumed NASCAR was protecting Chase Elliott when that wasn't the case. I'm positive everyone is going to argue pretty much all of these, which is fine. This is just my opinion on this, but to end this off, I want to bring up the Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin incident at the 2023 Coca-Cola 600. Chase and Hamlin came off of turn 4 and Hamlin ran Elliott into the wall even though it wasn't on purpose, and after that, Chase Elliott didn't appreciate that, so he decided to hook Denny in the right rear and sent him head on into the wall. It was so clear that Chase right hooked Hamlin that even Clint Boyer in the booth called it out on the first replay. Denny Hamlin in his interview said that Chase Elliott should be suspended, and guess what everyone's response was to that? They'll never suspend Chase, he's the golden boy, NASCAR will sweep this under the rug. Guess what? They did suspend Chase. Yeah, they could have swept it under the rug, but they actually took action and justice was served, even to Mr. Popular. So how is he the golden boy if they suspended him? When you look at everything I went over, how can you call Dale Jr. and Chase Elliott golden boys in general? It's a myth. They're not being protected. They're not receiving favoritism from NASCAR and within the teams they driven for. Most people that call these guys the golden boys of NASCAR are people that usually have a dislike towards these guys. And yeah, that's fine, you could dislike them, but I just hate when people run with this fake narrative that they're NASCAR's favorite, so they're gonna do everything to protect them even though it's been proven that they won't. Points penalties, suspensions, NASCAR having the opportunity to play favorites, but they didn't. This is why I think the golden boy thing is a myth. I may sound like I'm coming off as someone that's defending NASCAR decisions on things, but don't think that for 1 second. I'm one of the first to call out NASCAR on their bullshit, and trust me, they be on bullshit a lot. But there is times where they get it right. I just feel like there's no such thing as golden boy treatment in NASCAR. I get it, these guys are popular, but the belief that they get special treatment because of their huge popularity is just something I don't believe in. I know I didn't cover every single thing about this, but my point still stands. The golden boy thing is just a myth in my opinion. I'm very positive that a lot of y'all feel different, so with that, go ahead and tell me in the comments, do you think the golden boy deal is a myth? Give me your opinion in the comments, and if you disagree, don't be an asshole about it. Just explain why without insulting me. I say that, but I know damn well it's gonna be some comments like that, so I'm pretty much wasting my breath saying that. Anyway, that's all from me. I'm gonna go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.